Yeah, because they're going for pull, of course. In today's video, I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about the nurse. My name is Flightless, and I have just over 8,000 hours of playtime since I started playing DBD back in 2020. Nurse is my most played killer over the years, and I have been doing a win streak for the last few months in an attempt to get the new world record. My personal best is 403 wins in a row, which I lost to Team X9 during their unrestricted escape streak. If you find this video useful and you want to see more guides in the future, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton and is completely free. Enjoy the video. Nurse is one of the most unique killers in the game. She has the standard 32 meter tear radius, but she has the slowest movement speed of any killer, moving at 3.85 meters per second, which is even slower than a survivor when running. Her power, Spencer's Last Breath, is referred to as a blink. After a 2-second charge time, this blink allows the nurse to move in a straight line at a very fast speed through any object on the map up to a range of 20 meters. Afterwards, being able to attack or charge a shorter chain blink that can go up to 12 meters. Nurse's blinks work on a token system. It takes 3 seconds to recharge per token, and the recharge time begins the moment you enter a fatigue. In order to use a chain blink, you need a minimum of 2 tokens. Otherwise, you won't be able to charge a second blink at all. Afterwards, if you do not attack or release a second blink, you will be forced into a fatigue. Fatigue time is based on the amount of blinks and your attacks. The base duration for fatigue is 2 seconds. Each chain blink will add 0.5 seconds to up to a maximum of 3 seconds. And attacks, miss or hit, will add 1 second, meaning the maximum fatigue time that you can have is 4 seconds. Blinks are incredibly fast. In fact, they're over 13 meters per second. But that does not make them instant. For a max range blink, it'll take 2 seconds to move the full 20 meters. However, this time is not based on the actual range you move, meaning if you look down to make your blink not go as far, you will still have to wait the entire duration of the blink for as long as you charged it for. Looking down for a blink is used to counter survivors double backing into your blinks, but keep in mind if a survivor has double backed and you have already charged a long blink, you will be stuck in place for a longer blink duration. When a survivor double backs into you on a place with multiple floors, like Midwich or Gideon, you can look up as high as you can and release your blink to not go down a level, but also to not go as far. You can also use the edge map wall to accomplish the same thing, as you're not able to go through them, so your blink will essentially be cancelled. Nurse has a large variety of add-ons, from add-ons that slightly lessen the punishment for using your power, add-ons that straight up make your power worse in favor of more blood points, add-ons that slightly change your power to work a bit differently, to add-ons that are considered the strongest in the game. These two being Jenner's Last Breath and Campbell's Last Breath. The reason these are the strongest is because Nurse's biggest weaknesses are survivors pre-running away and having a large amount of distance before you can even get in chase, and large maps because her map traversal is very poor. Campbell's fixes both of these issues by giving you essentially a 40 meter blink. This add-on works by when you fully charge your first blink, the second that you land, you will do an immediate fully charged blink in the direction that you are facing. This will not be a fully charged chain blink, this will be a fully charged blink, meaning you have a 40 meter blink in total. The downside is you can't pick and choose when to use it. If you fully charge your blink, you will double blink no matter what as long as you have 2 tokens, and it can waste a lot of time. And this is where Jenner's Last Breath comes in. This add-on can allow you to overextend with Campbell's, and if it doesn't benefit you in any way to be there, and you want to change your mind, Jenner's allows you to do that by pressing the control button and returning to your original blink location. And you only get a 3-second fatigue for it due to technically doing 3 blinks. And it even helps in chase by giving her basically 4 blinks. This add-on combo is insane and makes Nurse the absolute best killer in the game. Be careful though. Campbell's is extremely bugged at the moment. The way to get around using both blinks when you don't want to, but getting the most range from your blink. You can 99 your blink, or 99 the recharge of your tokens. But sometimes, even if you 99 the blink, Campbell's will activate anyways, and sometimes it won't even activate when you fully charge your blink and have both tokens. I've encountered these bugs many times, and I can't seem to figure out exactly why these bugs occur or what's making them happen. And there's no way to stop them from happening as far as I know. But I do think it is still worth it, as the amount of value this add-on provides is unmatched. Nurse also has a very beginner-friendly add-on called the Plaid Flannel. And this add-on is very tempting for new players, because it allows you to see the location of where you will land during your blink. But I personally recommend against it. It can be useful when learning how her blinks work, but most people tend to use it as a crutch rather than a teaching instrument, similar to how people use windows of opportunity. My advice is to use Plaid Flannel for a few games to learn the charge time and distancing for both initial and chain blinks, and then take it off once you've gotten a relative hang of it. After that, the best add-ons for beginners, in my opinion, are Fragile Wheeze and Badman's Last Breath, because these are strong, but they don't necessarily change how your power works. Most nurse mains would recommend you bring Ataxic Respiration or Catatonic Boy's Treasure, as this will reduce the punishment for using your blinks, but I personally disagree with this too. These add-ons are good for nurse, but nurse is all about having the best chase in the game and managing the punishment for having that. So if you lessen the punishment, you won't necessarily learn how to play around it. I do have a couple other favorite add-on combos that you can try out. These aren't necessarily the strongest, but they are pretty fun, and this gives you an idea of what you can run. These are Torn Bookmark and Campbell's Last Breath, Fragile Wheeze and Badman Keepsake, and Dark Censure and Pocket Watch. Outside of these combos, the other add-ons don't give a ton of value, so it's ultimately up to you what you would like to run, but these are my favorite. Nurse gets a lot of value from passive perks, more so than killers like Blight, Billy, and Ghoul, because they are very active killers, but Nurse has a high chase pressure and low map mobility. So perks like Pain Resonance, Eruption, Deadman Switch, and Grim Embrace work really well. But she is also notoriously good at abusing aura reading perks like Predator, Nowhere to Hide, Lethal Pursuer, etc. But something not many people know about is she can use undetectable perks better than almost any killer in the game, like Secret Project or even Tinkerer. These on screen are my top 5 favorite builds that I typically run during my win streak. These builds, in my opinion, are probably the absolute best that you can run and gives you a little bit of variety. And for those who may ask, yes, perks like Ultimate Weapon and Spies from the Shadows are very good, and if you'd like to run them, I definitely recommend putting them on. But I personally have stopped using them as much, in favor for more consistent and, in my opinion, better perks. And for those who may be wondering what build I personally recommend when starting out with Nurse and trying to learn her power and playstyle, I recommend the Corrupt/Lethal Pain Res Eruption Agitation build. This build is very strong with not too many nuances to it. The reason for bringing either Corrupt or Lethal is because Nurse getting into super fast chases is important. In my opinion, Lethal is much better than Corrupt. However, if you're new to Nurse and not confident in your skills, Corrupt will help you not lose as much gen pressure for that first chase. Also, in case any of you are wondering why Agitation instead of an aura perk, if you're learning Nurse, I heavily advise against using an aura perk, as it will essentially play the game for you and hinder your learning capabilities, while also being straight up pretty cheese and unfun to versus Survivor. I may be a Nurse main, and I may be making a Nurse guide, but I do play Survivor, and I do not want to create a meta of a bunch of aura reading nurses. But don't sleep on Agitation. In many Nurse mains' opinion, including my own, Agi is one of her best perks. Like stated before, Nurse has poor map pressure outside of her chase, so being able to get faster hooks in high activity locations, like inside a 3-gen or near another hook, will drastically improve your pressure, while also helping you learn Nurse's very area control playstyle. Nurse is very difficult for beginners. Her power is very unintuitive, and good survivors will make inexperienced nurses struggle heavily. There are some things to keep in mind that will help you versing these players. So here's a couple advanced tips that I can share to you. Before you're in blink range to attack survivors, it's best to blink sort of to the side of whoever you're chasing, zoning them towards edge map, hooks, or active gens. This will help you gain ground on your target while also keeping them towards important areas. Safety blinking is a good strategy to save time and not play too risky. This is where you use your first blink to go essentially where you last saw the survivor, and then use your second blink to catch up any distance and maybe get the hit. However, blinks at their core are a 50-50, depending on the way the survivor moves. So if a survivor is going around a corner and will be a couple seconds before you can actually blink where you last saw them, blink slightly past it, so that if the player runs back or runs away, you can always get the hit with your second blink. If the survivor is good, they are going to try to take you towards the edge map, because it is filled with plenty of objects to break LOS, is very difficult to blink on, and is far away from any active gens and their teammates. And when you're chasing edge map or in an area that's good for you, you can implement some prediction blinking. This is pretty self-explanatory. This is essentially where you just predict where the survivor is going to be, and then you can maybe get a 1 blink, which will cause them to be 2-tap most of the time. Typically, I would use safety blinks if you need a down or in a bad spot of the map in order to waste as little time as possible, and use prediction blinks when in a good area for yourself, like edge map, inside a 3-gen, or near a hook. And if the survivor starts juking too many of your blinks, switch to safety blinks to try to make up for the lost time. It's important to use a combination of both, as this will make you much less predictable. Most people claim that there is no counter to Nurse. And yes, you can't loop her like you can a Trapper or Wraith, which are very weak killers, but she most certainly has counterplay. She is very strong, and she is the strongest killer in the game in my opinion, but that does not make her unbeatable. The most common ways to counter Nurse are breaking line of sight, pre-running, running in confusing patterns, and playing pallet standoffs. This is pretty intuitive, because you can't loop her like you can a Trapper, as I said before. But not many people really think about it as being counters. While countering these plays from survivors is not an exact science, there are some things that you can do to try to help minimize the amount of options a survivor has in order to run you for a long time. To counter pre-running, I recommend trying to blink to areas where a pre-running survivor will run into you. This is very situational, so I can't give you an exact tip of what to do, so just use your best intuition. This will waste some distance from you for map traversal, but a few meters wasted in travel to cut off a survivor will save you much more time than trying to catch up to them after they've ran away from you. When a player is using LOS breaks, try to use a mix of prediction blinks, walking them down, and listening for any audio cues like vault sounds, breathing, injured groans, and footsteps. Really good survivors will avoid giving you these sound cues, that can also make their pathing a bit more predictable. The counter to survivors running in confusing patterns really doesn't have a tip that I can give you. You simply just have to try to keep track of them and make sure that you don't lose too much distance. But for playing pallet standoffs, the best method is to blink right in front of the pallet, just out of the sun range, and wait to see their movement. Pallets are short enough so that you can do a minimum blink and not need a full blink charge to get across, and that is so fast that survivors cannot react to that blink. But also, you can blink into the middle of the pallet, and if timed correctly, you'll be able to body block them from having the prompt to drop the pallet. Although this is risky, because when your blink lands, just before you are fully there, you lose collision, meaning a survivor in the middle of the pallet will always be able to drop, sometimes before even getting hit. Nurse's strength being all about chase makes her very map dependent, and as most of you have probably heard by now, indoor maps are not optimal for this. While they aren't the best, they do have some advantages. They can help you against pre-running, and typically, gens are a lot closer together. This is why Gideon and Midwich are by far her 2 best maps. The gens are super close together, in fact, they're actually stacked on top of each other in most cases, and the survivors doing gens, healing, or saving are almost always in some measure of danger. Indoor maps will always be the worst for chase. So the best way to deal with these maps is to learn the layouts, as they very infrequently change, and the things that do change, keep track of what is in each room or corridor as you travel through the map. The actual worst maps for Nurse are large maps like Shattered Square or Badham, where there's a large amount of clutter, and they also take multiple sets of blinks just to get across the map. God forbid you get the worst of both worlds and you get Trickster's Delusion. Trickster's Delusion is very large, and while technically being an outdoor map, plays very similarly to an indoor map. The best way to deal with these maps is by trying to take area control to try to cut down on the amount of time wasted by going from point A to point B. There are some parts of certain maps that the Nurse is unable to blink through, regardless of the range or direction that you are going. This is typically due to a hitbox issue in DBD that has been plaguing the game for years. I will quickly go over some of these issues so that you don't have to learn them firsthand and can maybe save you a lot of headache in the future. This railing at the staircase of the Mother's Dwelling main building, the bench and boxes at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from this angle, the viewing galleries of the upstairs of Disturbed Ward. Nostromo has two different locations where you are unable to blink through. The right side of the main building on this corner with the astronaut suit, and the secret room next to the main gen. You are unable to blink through either of these from any angle. The roof of the Toba Landing main building, and the staircase walls of Hawkins' laboratory. Keeping these spots in mind will come in handy if a survivor takes you to these locations during a chase in the future. DBD is plagued with hitbox issues and bad map designs that can make playing Nurse an absolute headache. However, for its many flaws, there are some parts of the game that can make playing Nurse have a lot more goofy moments. And I'm talking about hiding spots. Most of you already know about the exit gates, where you can blink through the exit gate door and just hide there with maybe Insidious to try to jump scare the survivors as they're leaving. Obviously, this is a sure way to lose, but it can be pretty fun. So I will go over some other hiding spots that are pretty well known, and also maybe some that aren't very well known that you can use to have some of your own goofy moments. On Hawkins' laboratory, just above where the basement spawns at the portal room, if the basement is not there, blink through this wall and there's a hidden Easter egg inside. On Coldwood maps, there's a space in the green wrapped hay bales, but keep in mind, these little holes can let survivors see you, so it's not entirely stealthy. On Trickster's Delusion, there's two spots. A spot behind the drink coolers in between some boxes and the wall right here, and also a spot at the shack above where the basement spawns. These are both pretty difficult to access, so I recommend bringing plaid flannel, as you will likely not be able to learn it by heart. There's also a spot at the Nostromo shuttle wreckage, where you can blink in between this rock and the shuttle. This is also really difficult to get into, and I found it completely by accident in one game, and I was unable to recreate it, so I just got the original clip from my streams. These spots, of course, won't help you to win, but you can have some cool clips and some funny moments with the other players in the game. And that's just about everything I have to share about Dead by Daylight's The Nurse. If you'd like to see more about Nurse, I do have a Google Doc that will be linked below, and I will update it as needed with updates or changes made to Nurse. Like I stated before, I have been win streaking on Nurse, so if you'd like to, go ahead and follow me on Twitch so that you can maybe catch me live in the future, and if you have any more questions, always feel free to ask. I do get a lot of the same questions, so be patient. I may get frustrated, but I will always answer your questions. With all that said, I hope to catch you guys in the next video.